Today, we're going to make a delicious broccoli casserole. Jump on in and make it with me. Hi, I'm Mary Katherine, and welcome to my table. This is part of our Thanksgiving meal series. Someone had actually requested specifically, hoping that I was going to do a broccoli casserole. And so I'm going to include that in the meal series now. And we're going to focus on that one today. The first thing we're going to do is get our broccoli ready. Now, if you want to use fresh broccoli for this, you absolutely can. Just wash it and cut it up yourself. I have the frozen broccoli, the florets. And so I'm just going to cut my bag open. I'm going to dump it in my colander here because it's still a little bit frozen. And what I want to do is just kind of run some warm water over it to thaw this broccoli. And then it'll be ready for us to put together for our casserole. You can kind of see that ice breaking off from the florets. You can still feel a little bit of hardness in it. So I'm going to keep running the water over for a little bit longer. Doesn't take too long though. Make sure it's good at the bottom. Get those up here. Okay, we don't want too much liquid in this casserole, so I'm going to kind of just take some paper towels and dry it out just a little bit more. And now I'm just going to dump it in our bowl. And now we want to add a few things to it. If you notice, I'm not even going to cook the broccoli. It's going to be fine. It's already kind of started to wilt just because of thawing it under that hot water. And the way that it cooks up in the casserole dish, it's going to be just fine without having to cook it first. Let's add some onion. This is about 1 medium onion. And I've just given it a good rough chop. This is my homemade cream of chicken soup in the condensed form. So this is without adding that milk at the end. And you want to have it just like it would come out of a can for this recipe. So that's what we have here. I think what I have in this bowl is a little bit more than I need. I want about the same amount that would be in 1 can. And so I'm just going to kind of, that would be 10 ounces. If you want to measure it exactly with your kitchen scales, you can do that. But I think that's pretty close right there. And then I'm just going to take my same bowl that had the onions in it, and I'm going to crack 2 eggs. And I'm just going to go ahead and beat these before I add them to the broccoli. All right. That looks good. And now we're going to take mayonnaise and add it into it. That may sound like a little bit of an odd ingredient, but it's going to add so much flavor. Do you know what's in mayonnaise? It's basically just eggs and oil. And so it gives a lot of good flavor. And we're going to do 1 cup of mayonnaise. There we go. There's about a cup. Let's go ahead and add our seasoning now. We want about a half a teaspoon of salt. And then about 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. So I'm just going to use my half teaspoon and just fill it about halfway to get that 1/4. Okay, and then we want 1½ cups of sharp cheddar cheese. And I've got some cheese that's a combination of white and orange cheddar cheese. And this is actually about 3 cups. So I'm only going to use about half of this. Now you can double this recipe if you're making it for a really large crowd. You know, at Thanksgiving, sometimes we do have a pretty large crowd coming and gathering. So if you need to double it, go ahead and do that. This is just one single recipe today that I'm showing you. The final ingredient that we're going to put in the casserole is some melted butter. And we needed half a stick. That's just 1/4 of a cup. So I cut this off and I've got my butter melted now. And we're just going to pour it directly into this casserole. And now we're going to stir it up. And at this point, if you want the broccoli to be chopped up a little bit more, there were some larger pieces. Your spoon, if you have a metal spoon like this, you can kind of just stab it into the broccoli and do it at this point. If you just really prefer, you can chop your broccoli first before you put the casserole together. But I think having some bigger pieces is going to be fine in this casserole, and it will cook down even more. So I didn't do the chopping first. Now let's get it ready to bake. I'm going to spray my baking dish. This is almost a 9x13 pan. I think it's just a touch shorter. This probably would fit in a 9x9 pan if you had one, or a round casserole dish about the same size. But I'm going to put it in this pan today. So we've got it sprayed. So as you can see, this is going to be a little bit chunkier broccoli casserole than you may be used to, but you can adjust that if you want. If you want it chopped up, chop it. But I think it's going to be good this way. And then for our final step, we're going to take 1 sleeve of Ritz crackers. You could use a different kind of cracker if you had it. That'd be fine. These are the kind that do really well on top. So we're going to do a combination of the Ritz cracker crumbs and a little bit more cheese on top. Instead of drizzling butter, that cheese is going to kind of soak into the crackers too and just create a really nice, crunchy, cheesy topping. Okay, I'm going to reserve the last little bit and come in at this point with a little bit of that cheese. And you don't need a lot of cheese on top because you have a good bit in the casserole itself. So do y'all like to crush your cracker crumbs while they're still in the package before you take them out? Or do you do like I do and crush them in your hands and get it all over your hands? I don't know. I just like doing it with my hands. And that is the broccoli casserole. Okay, a couple things. We're about to go in the oven for this. The amount of cheese that I used on top with the cracker crumbs is probably about a half a cup, no more than that. And then in terms of the broccoli, what I used was a 32-ounce bag of frozen florets. If you are using fresh broccoli, you want to use probably 4 to 5 cups of broccoli. If you want your broccoli smaller and you don't want to have to chop it, you could also just buy the chopped broccoli instead of the florets. So anyway, just wanted to let you know those things before we go in the oven. We're about to go in at 350 degrees. And we're going to let it bake for 30 to 35 minutes. Our broccoli's ready. Let's get it out. Let's taste our broccoli casserole. See if I can get a bite. It's going to be hot, though. I'll have to give it a second. And a little bit of that crispy topping, too. That's really good. Y'all, can I just tell you, this meal is going to be so good. You are going to love it. If you are a broccoli lover, you're going to love this casserole. So if you are looking for a good broccoli casserole recipe to add to your Thanksgiving meal, this is the one. It is so good. Y'all, really. And remember, this is part of our Thanksgiving meal series. You can sign up to get all of the recipes that we're coming out with for this series. Just go over to marycatherinestable.com and go to the home page, and you can sign up to receive all of these recipes. It's delicious. It's going to be a great Thanksgiving this year. All right, so that's a wrap on our broccoli casserole. I hope that you'll go out today and remember to find someone who needs a little bit of kindness and give them some of yours.